For VideoGameSaga.com, this is Tony B. Welcome to episode 29 of Retry. Today we're going to be talking about one of my personal favorites, Super Punch-Out!, released for the Super Nintendo in 1994 by Nintendo. This is kind of a special episode for Retry. I don't do a ton of Super Nintendo games, and today marks only the second Super Nintendo game I've ever reviewed. Just so the record is straight, I'm not some sort of elitist hater. I've got nothing against the Super Nintendo. I think it's a great system. The truth of the matter is, it's just access. It's one of the systems I haven't owned up to very recently, where a buddy of mine gave me one. There was a time where boxing was the biggest combat sport that ever existed, and nothing seemed like it would ever eclipse it. I know it may seem pretty hard to believe, because if you look at the May MPD sales numbers for the top 10 selling games for the month of May 2010, 2 of those entries are UFC titles. The early 90s was a huge time for heavyweight boxing. We saw Buster Douglas beat Mike Tyson in 1990, and we also saw the rise to prominence of stars like Evander Holyfield, Michael Moore, Riddick Bowe, and Lennox Lewis. So the idea of Nintendo following up their original Punch-Out! With a sequel on the Super Nintendo was kind of just a no-brainer. Like the original game, Punch-Out! Had larger-than-life characters, each coming from a different country and each having a different fighting style.
Pizza cake.
The key to beating this game is to memorize the patterns and to see when your opponent telegraphs their moves so that you can take advantage of an opening. The Green Glove hero of this game is called Little Mac, same as in the original Punch-Out!. Fighting in a third-person perspective, you punch your way through the ranks of heavyweights trying to get belts and become world champion. Now, as you went through the regular fight and landed normal punches, you would build up a special meter that would allow you to land more devastating blows and better combos. You can win by traditional knockouts, or you can win by TKO by knocking your opponent down 3 times in a single round. There's only one round though, so if you can't beat your opponent within the time given, you lose. There are no wins by decision. When you've knocked the other boxer down, you can regain your own health by rapidly pressing the buttons on the control.
Pizza cake.
So you can bob and weave in this game, ducking in 4 separate directions to help you avoid attacks. You want to try to score knockdowns on your opponent as quickly as possible. The faster you knock them down, the less stamina they will regain when they get back up. As a cool Easter egg, Little Mac made an appearance in Fight Night Round 2 by Electronic Arts. So, if you've got Fight Night Round 2 for the GameCube, enjoy Little Mac, and also the entire version of this game is an unlockable. Overall, Super Punch-Out! Was well received when it first came out, and in hindsight, it's actually held up pretty well. The game has been criticized for kind of having boring music, but what they went for was an over-the-top gameplay with outlandish, memorable characters, and that's just it. Even though boxing has faded, this game hasn't. People remember it very fondly. In one of his few non-Mario roles,
Mamma mia, it's me, Mario.
Charles Martinet provides the voices of the announcer, the boxers. This was actually one of his first voice acting gigs for Nintendo.
Fight.
My only real problem with Super Punch-Out! Is the 2-player mode. Each player would take turns and be able to log their records, but for each player to access their records, you had to reset the system. That kind of lack of foresight in multiplayer is pretty inexcusable.
Got it. Right on.
In the interest of full disclosure, I just want to point out that this is the first retry that I am not the one playing the game. The person playing is lifeless. He's a buddy of mine, and he's a writer for VideoGameSaga.com. Thanks for picking up the sticks, because my gameplay would have been embarrassing. I included a separate video of some of his higher level matches as a preview for this, so you can watch that too if you want to see some of his fights without him being butchered up by editing. Since this great game is a first-party Nintendo title, the good news is, it's pretty easy to find. Super Punch-Out! Was released March 2009 on the Virtual Console for the Nintendo Wii. If you've never given this game a shot, it's definitely worthwhile. It's a great game and it will take you back to the mid-90s when boxing was king. Not that king, I just meant king in general. Thanks for watching. For VideoGameSaga.com, this is Tony B, and I'm out. Retry? You know it.